The Haunted Mansion story just got more interesting. We've got the latest on Portos and Redwood Creek, news regarding cuts in entertainment around the parks, and lots more, including Tianas Bayou Adventure. So, let's get on the train and head to New Orleans Square. Before we get there, though, we're going to cleanse the timeline a little bit. Just look at Mickey and Minnie doing their thing at the top of the train station. So cute. Oh my God. How could you not love that? All right, so we're stopped at the New Orleans Square station first thing before we head into Critter Country, and I found some stuff. There's staging back here. We'll pause here for a second because I only have a second to show, or a second to record this. We've got this stack of white boxes on the left. Looks like that could be some kind of tile in those boxes. They're getting ready to apply either a wall surface or a flooring somewhere, which is great news, by the way. You love to see that. You love to see them. That's probably for the interior of the attraction, is my guess. And on the right, we've been advised that those are Silva cells. You install these around a tree to allow for root growth, especially in a situation like this where there's going to be a lot of concrete. These Silva cells help to, improve root growth there. I think we're going to know which tree that is in just a little bit. But before we get there, let's take a look at Critter Country. We're facing the Briar Patch. There's that track on the right that's leading at First Lift Hill. And it looks like they've dug a trench right here in the lower third of frame. That's right about where the entrance to Winnie the Pooh is. There's a tree still being protected, that one tree. They're working around that. A big pile of dirt there, so they've obviously dug up something new. Oh, and look at that. If we zoom in to that rear portion back there by the Briar Patch, they have fortified part of that area there. You can see I don't know if I want to call it a retaining wall necessarily. It's a little short for that. Is that what that is? There's a flat area on the ground, and then they pushed something up against the dirt there to create a new level. So the queue is probably going to have a terraced effect, which would be kind of delightful if that is what's happening there. I love terrace effects. I'm a knight that says knee. Yeah, I feel like they are getting there when it comes to defining that space back there for the new queue. All right, so that's Briar Patch. Looking through the little barn here at Winnie the Pooh, you can see they're using that barn as a staging area. And it also looks like they have dug up part of the creek that connects, between Hungry Bear and Critter Country, or I should say Winnie the Pooh and the rest of Critter Country. All right, we're back at the New Orleans Square station again. See if we can get a better look at what's happening there. Tile on the left and Silva cells on the right. For which tree? Or it could be for more than one tree, obviously, but again, stay tuned. We'll show you what's happening on that in a minute. But otherwise, stuff is blocking a lot of the view, that and the equipment, so we can't really see anything on the ground. Back for lap 2 to check out what's happening in the rear of Critter Country, in the entrance to Tianas Bayou Adventure. We've got some more staging there. I don't know if those white stacks there are... No, that's different. That's right. We asked that last week. Still not sure what that is, but those are still there. Everything is still behind scrim. The facade, no clue still what they're going to make that facade look like. We do, though, have some crew working in the riverbed there. That's Pooh Sticks River those construction guys are in there right now below the queue. There's the queue up there, and those guys are down there in the riverbed. I'm going to guess that's something kind of tech issue, either audio or a lighting effect perhaps that they're working on. So that's Critter Country from the Disneyland Railroad. Obviously, we get to enjoy the Disneyland Railroad while we're filming this. And I happen to be in the last car, and I happen to be on the Lily Bell train, and I just decided to take a peek. And there's a little bit of the Lily Bell there. You guys have... Oh, man, you can actually ride in that now if you're doing the tour, the train tour. But there it is. There's a Lily Bell. Okay, heading back to Frontierland to go ride the Mark Twain. We'll stop by and say hi to the Pearly Band out front. Mary Poppins, Bert doing their thing. Delightful. I love it when you just kind of stumble upon streetmosphere happening in the parks like that. I wasn't planning on seeing that. You know what I mean? Like, you just get to enjoy things. Speaking of enjoying things, before we get on the Mark Twain, That right there is the Mark Twain passing in front of Tom Sawyer Island. And you may have heard that they closed, or they had to cancel a couple of Fantasmic shows. We were trying to see a show that night when it happened. They canceled them at the last minute, and if you were wondering, the issues have to do with what's happening underneath the water. And that, do you guys recall when we had that mystery, what we thought was supposed to be some kind of cofferdam? We were wondering what those were. Well, whatever it is that thing was trying to do, it didn't work out. They took it down, and they just didn't do whatever it is that they were trying to do. That's still an issue. Whatever it is that they were trying to fix is still a problem. And on that night, it created a problem for the show. Since then that the show is back and running, but I don't know if they were able to fix it permanently or if it was just a Band-Aid. But they kind of rushed this back a little bit once they decided to do it. And so I feel like we may be running into future problems with technical issues with Fantasmic. So just be aware of that, I guess. If you do find a show canceled, most likely it is going to be related to what's happening below the waterline here in front of Tom Sawyer Island, in front of the stage where Mickey performs. In fact, an update on that part of the island, it is now permanently closed. No guests are being allowed onto this part of the island all day permanently. Well, at least for the foreseeable future. You'll notice that there's no ropes, no stanchions, no nothing out here. Normally there's a bunch of fall protection and ways to keep guests from going into areas that they can't go. All of that has been taken down because they have no plans to let any guests on that part of the island now or in the near future. If it were temporary, those stanchions and those ropes would still be up there. I can't say for sure what the reasoning is, but my money is on cost cutting. They're trying to save on, whatever the expense is of keeping that area open. It seems to be, because it's not, I don't think it's safety. If it were, those stanchions and those rails would still be up if it were a safety issue in terms of, like a technical issue with the stage. They can let guests up there. They just choose not to, I believe. I'll try to keep my ears open for what's happening out there, but that's just know for now that guests will not be permitted out onto the stage area for the foreseeable future. For now, we'll get on that Mark Twain and see what's happening at Haunted Mansion, where things have developed here a little bit in quite an interesting way. As we mentioned already, we saw that they've got some, they're staging, getting ready to put in some flooring and getting ready to install trees in such a way as to allow for them to grow. Zoom in a little bit on this scene in front of the Disneyland Railroad at the New Orleans Square Station, and we can see that vertical rebar. There again, we mentioned this last week. They're getting ready to, I believe, install that planter that with the ivy or whatever that foliage that they had out in front of the queue for the Disneyland Railroad. A lot of activity recently on this side of things. We're seeing a lot of crew. I could see all kinds of hard hats over the fence line at the Haunted Mansion. This is that immediate area in front of the mansion where they have been working on the queue. They completely dug up that queue, all that new fake grass and everything around that. They completely dug that up. And they are, replanting the fake grass, I guess. I'm not sure what the correct term is there. Stay tuned. We got more on that. We'll pan to the left because the boat keeps moving. There's the pet cemetery. It looks like it's kind of washed out here, but I can't tell if those are just 2x4s or if they have built a form. That could be a form, and it could, is that concrete? They're getting ready to put in the wall that runs in front of the pet cemetery, perhaps. That you see the vertical rebar there as well. So that's starting to, that is a very positive sign that they are making progress on that part of the queue space in front of the Haunted Mansion. Excellent. I like to see that. Are those cinder blocks or is that concrete? Because it looks stacked. And there again, we got a bunch of construction workers working on that section there. That's right about where the Haunted Mansion queue is separated from Magnolia Gardens. What was, that's going to be the edge of the queue space. There's that tree that I have been teasing. I'm not sure if this is a new tree or if it's a tree that they have moved, because that wasn't there before. Obviously, in previous weeks, we haven't seen that tree. boat keeps moving. Let's go back to let's go back to the front of the Haunted Mansion and see if we can't spot anything else. Okay, coming into frame now is that fall protection behind the brick wall and that rear queue, which suggests that there is still a significant hole back there. And actually, that right in the middle of the frame, running horizontally, you can see, I feel like, yeah, that's the surface line right there. There, oh my gosh, that is cavernous still. The black section there is, I have to believe, is what would have been ground level, and everything below that is below grade. Continue panning to the left there again, you can see the wall starting to form there in front of the pet cemetery. And there's that crew again. Is that vertical? Is that steel? To the left of those construction workers, that does look like it could be steel. To their left, it's permanent. I have to think that that's permanent. There's the tree again. Yeah, that tree wasn't there before in that spot. It might be the same trees that we've seen elsewhere, but they have moved it out here. They've dug it up and put it in a planter. I'm guessing that's where those Silva cells are going to go, is around that tree. And there's a new pile of dirt to its left. Oh, that's it. That's all we can see. Here's another look at the pile of dirt and the tree from Tianas. And that pile of dirt suggests to me, getting back to what's happening there in the rear queue, that there is still a cavernous pit in the rear part of that queue. They've got a long way to go still to complete whatever it is that they're doing back there. There could be the delays that we're experiencing, or we think we're seeing, could be related to issues they might be having with the elevator and with the cast member break room and all that stuff. So I feel like it just seems like we are not making the progress that I would hope for the rear part, for the elevator part. The front of the queue, I think, is advancing. We're making progress on the front of the queue. This is from the Adventureland Treehouse. There's those Silva cells again. And there's the tree. Yeah, you can see some crew back there working behind that tree. So here's where we stand right now. The rumors are starting to gain steam, gain momentum, that they're going to try to reopen this attraction ahead of the queue being finished, the exterior queue and the garden. The attraction itself is more or less fine. You can run the attraction. I do know, for example, that they did remove some of the assets from Haunted Mansion Holiday, but most of them are still in there. And if they do try to reopen it, it will be Haunted Mansion Holiday, not original Haunted Mansion. Obviously, they don't want to put Haunted Mansion, the regular Haunted Mansion, in there, because then they'd have to close it again for 2 weeks to get it ready for the holiday season, for Halloween. So they're just going to let it be Haunted Mansion Holiday whenever they decide to open that, which, as I understand it, could be as soon as late July. We reported that a few months ago. You might recall that I had thought that that's where they could be. They could be planning to open this thing as soon as July. That rumor is gaining momentum. And that's also probably why we're seeing accelerated work being done out there in the front of the queue. They got a lot of hard hats, as I mentioned, working on that front of the queue. Still having issues, obviously, with the rear queue and with the break room and the elevator, etc. If you're wondering about how they're going to queue those guests up, they won't. It's going to be a virtual queue. No queue at all, except for those who have been called, and they just sort of collect in front of the Haunted Mansion. I'm a little bit concerned about that, because you know how guests are. If they have a virtual queue and their time is for 11 a.m., you might see those guests sort of come together as 10 o'clock, 10:30 a.m. they want to because they want to be ready right on the dot. So you're going to find a lot of loiterers. So I'm hoping that they're ready for that. My guess is that they'll just cut a swath right through the entrance here. Right, they'll just open those walls up a little bit, and you go directly into the mansion. there would be no queue set up. You would just go directly in, and they would have something set up out here in front in this walkway. Cast members out here scanning people's virtual queues. It's still obviously just a rumor, and it's still not a done deal, but I believe 100% that if Disney believes that they can do it, that they will. I am 100% certain that if they have an opportunity, they will take it, because they are getting killed by people about having this whole stretch of this park closed for business. And they need something to be open back here, and they need something open ASAP. So that's where we're at right now. Rumor is virtual queue for Haunted Mansion sometime in July, and that would be the Haunted Mansion holiday, not original Haunted Mansion. And then they would continue working on the queue. The queue may not be done until next year. It could be a while. Because obviously, what we've been seeing does not suggest that they're anywhere near completion. It is now June, and we've got 2 months, 2.5 months to get to the beginning of the Halloween season. No chance that queue is done in those 2.5 months. I will now open the mic up for input from the audience. What is this, a positive move for you or a negative move for you? Do you want to see just the ride open in July in advance of the queue? Because if you don't, then you have to wait until probably, the new year before we start seeing everything fully operational. Let us know in the comments. As for now, we'll stay on the Mark Twain, but take a look at Tianas next. You can see there's some water in the turnaround here after the big drop. They are still continuously running water. I actually caught some water running here the other day. Also testing ride vehicles ride vehicles with those weighted fake people in them. So they're getting to that point with the attraction. There's the front of Tianas. Looks about as we left it last week. I don't see the roof, of that lift barn and everything. It looks to be about the same condition. Same for the drop. Same for that little outcropping that they've been working on. Actually, there was very few people, very few construction workers on site here on this day. Critter Country. Giant mound of dirt there. Got a little earth mover doing business. Status quo for all the foliage that's on the other side of that construction wall there. Not a lot of action in that spot either. Again, very few guys out here working, so we couldn't really see what they were working on. So we'll head back to Critter Country. And they've dug a couple holes out from the mountain to install some sort of feature that's probably going to be queue related. You can see the steel behind that mountain there on the right. And the hole on the left is starting to come into frame. Sound, lighting, something. They're going to be installing something, attaching something into that wall there in the near future. It's so cool that they're able to just take it apart and then put it back and make it look like it never happened. Like they never touched it. I'm very impressed by that. I wonder what those green markings are onto the mountainside. Do you guys see that? There's a green line, and then 3 rectangles have been drawn on its side like that. I'm curious what that could mean. If there's anybody out there who has an idea, would love to hear from you in the comments section. I don't think I've ever seen that before or anything like that, really. Green is not a common color, by the way, in construction, in this way at least. You see a lot of paintings with white and yellow. They spray paint a lot of stuff with white and yellow, but not often. I don't know what green means. Obviously, each color has a meaning, as we've learned. Oh, there's red also. You see a lot of red too. Let's get on the ground next, see if we can find anything. All quiet here. You can see there's some new paneling there on the barn. I don't recall seeing that before. But otherwise, it looks to have finished. All the tiles have been installed on that roof, but there's some bare wood up there still. Slow going again on that outcropping. That outcropping most likely will look a lot like the one on its right, on the opposite side. And then nothing here at the top of the lift hill, at the top of the drop. No indications of Mama Odie or her bottles. Turn around and we can see that the work has progressed quite a bit. Where we've been watching them build, or we saw the mesh and then the concrete, and now we're getting color added to the brim around that foliage. This is where guests start coming back to the finale after the drop. You've made the turnaround to the secret path. You've gone around the secret path, and you can see some guys actively painting that surface now. They're adding all that color. There's something there on the scaffolding, though I can't tell. My guess is they're probably trying to, that's probably an example of how they want it to look. Could that be Magic Kingdom? I wonder. It's too difficult to see. It's covered in that paint or surface that they're applying. It was covered. Well, one thing we can see, though, that they have done there's some green. They've applied the green sort of mossy surface to the mountainside. Once more, all quiet over here by the Hungry Bear. Although we have a couple of guys here doing something possibly risky, because the one construction worker is harnessed. He's attached to a harness. Curious why that would be, because the other guys aren't. But cool, nonetheless. They're actually, looks like they're doing a little gardening there. Fascinating. That is Tianas Bayou Adventure this week. Let's talk about an interesting development in the Esplanade. We've been aware that there were some permits filed for new gates here at the front entrance to both Disneyland and DCA. They installed them a couple months ago, it seems like now. A month or two ago, they installed those new turnstiles, and they were testing them. I haven't seen any testing for a while. Things have paused. We mentioned that in a previous update, and now they're gone. They are completely gone. I don't know what that means. I mean, obviously that means that the test didn't go well, is my guess, because if they did, they wouldn't be removing them. They would be adding more of them and beginning the process of installing them. So the test did not go well. The test did not go well with that system. And I would say even further that it's interesting that that is the case, considering this is pretty much identical to the system that they're using at Disneyland Paris now. So there shouldn't be a huge difference in how they operate. So there could be another factor causing a problem here with these new turnstiles. Stay tuned. But for now, we're going analog. We're going old school still for the near future. Here's the latest on Earls, or on Portos. Things are still moving forward here, it looks like. Progress is being made on this temporary building. The rumor is that while Portos, that project has stalled, it's not over. I believe they are now in a renegotiation phase for the La Brea footprint, for the La Brea site, La Brea Bakery, that is. So it's not over, it's not done, but certainly the original plan has been paused or canceled. Meanwhile, elsewhere in downtown Disney, last week we reported that the new bag check had been opened, and that we had also reported that they were probably going to close the other bag check, the Mickey's hat, the Sorcerer's hat bag check. That has in fact happened. That is completely closed. You can see they've got construction walls up here. Guests from the Disneyland Hotel and the Pixar Place Hotel, if they're coming from that direction, cannot enter from that side. They have to enter over here on the new bag check side. In fact, we have this image from the Fresh Baked Street team, thanks to JNC. This is the current condition of the old bag check next to the ESPN zone and Din Tai Fung, or in between those, I should say. And that current condition is total and utter dirt. Now, it's not a big deal because that old bag check section was not permanent. There was just tables and tents. So it's not like they had demoed anything. If anything, all they demoed was the actual concrete, which is being reapplied, just like the rest of downtown Disney has been done. So they're going to match that concrete. Whether or not this bag check station returns, I am unsure, although I do think it's at least possible. So for now, if you're staying at the Disneyland Hotel, you will be entering the park via the bag check on the other side of Din Tai Fung. I'd also like to point out that Big Red Panda May looks to be doing Gangnam Style. Am I right? Okay. Otherwise, with regard to concrete, they have opened that space up in front of Star Wars Trading Post. All that concrete work is now finally done. All of the concrete work now in this area of the park is finally complete. It is now all brand new concrete out here in these walkways. And look how wide that looks. I don't ever remember it being that wide or feeling that wide. There's Parkside Market. In the center there, it looks like they're starting to build a bar. You can see a circular arrangement of steel there, what is now becoming the left side of the image. But I think they're getting ready to build the bar there. A bar in the round. More steel up on this side of things as well. Din Tai Fung. We're getting really close. All the concrete is done in here, or most all of it. Again, a very big, wide open space there. They have taken on the walls. They replaced the walls now with scrim so we can see a little better. A couple of construction workers there working on something on those windows. And if we even look a little closer, you can do it. Tables and chairs. Those are tables and chairs inside Din Tai Fung. We're almost there. And look at that. There's some new steel popped up over here in that space where Earl's is supposed to go. I don't know if it's related. I don't think it is, to be honest. But we're going to keep an eye on that. New steel. Over at Tortilla Joe's, we showed some scrim up, which we thought might be the beginning of the demo. It was not. It was not the beginning of demo. That scrim is down. And in its place now, we see these two trash cans. You'll notice these around the park. Two trash cans, one on the ground, another one perched up on a little block there. You'll see this all over the place. Downtown Disney and in Disneyland as well. If you see one of those, it's not because they want to perch the trash can up. It's the trash can is actually there to obscure a hole in the ground, to cover a hole in the ground. That's probably where a light pole was. You guys may have heard that some light poles went down. They're replacing a bunch of lighting structures around the park in response to what, we had heard a couple had fallen. So that's all that they were doing in front of Tortilla Joe's. No demo yet. No visible progress at Marceline's. Everything is still closed there. They still have the kiosks up there. But whoever had Wonderground Gallery on their bingo card for whatever is replacing Soul, you are the winner. Soul is now the Wonderground Gallery. And it looks just like the old Wonderground Gallery did. Lots and lots of art. Wonderful. Redwood Creek, we finally got some movement. That you can see that column there, that wooden column. That's our first sign of them doing literally anything in here. And it's been a couple months. That's been stripped. I have to think that they are in some. It feels like they're behind schedule. I know we have a date for Redwood Creek, but if they're just now doing this, and we're just now starting to see construction workers doing anything in here, I have to think that this is not going to be on time. So we're going to keep an eye on the dates and when this thing might reopen. What they're doing, though, it is my understanding that some of this is just to kind of freshen things up, but other parts of it are to permanently install certain features that are required for Villains Grove, for Oogie Boogie Bash. The effects that you see at Oogie Boogie or for Villains Grove are temporary in the past. They would install them and then take them down each year. What they're doing here is they're converting some of these wooden poles to composite in order to create long-term permanent solutions for what's needed for Villains Grove. That's interesting by itself, but if anybody's looking for a clue of them not putting Avatar in Redwood Creek or even in Grizzly Peak in general, there you go. That is a long-term permanent solution that they're installing for Villains Grove at Redwood Creek. There will be no Avatar at Redwood Creek. There will be no Avatar at Grizzly Peak. I'm calling that today. That leaves the Hollywood Backlot and Disneyland Forward for those keeping score. Elsewhere in DCA, you might have seen these walls pop up over here next to that character meet and greet, which is presently in Kanto. This is where they often do arts and crafts and stuff like that for special events. Walls are popped up. Why, you ask? Because people, if they're going to build a net, you guys, they're going to build a net over here covering this space because people were losing their phones and their cameras and their hats from Goofy Sky School. There's right here, you can see that people whip around that corner quite briskly. And if anybody's holding anything, they can sometimes drop it. And where that falls often is right on top of these guests. So they're going to build a net to protect the guests from people dropping their stuff off Goofy Sky School. Maybe that means they're going to let people actually open their cameras up now. If they put that net up, maybe they'll let people go back to filming, because I can't film that ride anymore. Just checking in on Blue Sky Cellar. They're turning this into a DVC station. No real progress here. It's been in this shape for quite a while, but we haven't really updated anybody on things here. Nothing observable is happening here. I can't see any kind of progress, but I did see it's golden something. I'm looking at those letters. I can't remember if that was there before or not, but I'm pretty sure that's golden, right? Let's go back to Disneyland. Check in on what's happening at Walt's apartment. We've been watching them build this, whatever it is that they're building here out on the deck outside Walt's apartment over the restrooms. It is becoming more apparent what's happening. They're creating a tiered system, a tiered thing. There's a lower level, a middle level, and then the rear level that's underneath that yellow lattice. But in between, there's another level. And my best guess is that this is going to be some kind of VIP viewing area for what I can only assume is like parade viewing. They're going to sell seats up there to watch the parade. It's kind of a limited view. It would actually, if that were the case, it would only work for the show coming at you, the show that begins at Town Square rather than coming the other direction. Because, well, I guess you could still see it, but it would be going away from you. If you were trying to watch the first show, the one coming from Small World, that show would be, you would see the back of it as opposed to the front of it. But that's the only thing I could think of that they could be doing here. Why else would they want to have, I feel like this is seating. So guests would look around and see the parade coming at them. And now, so that's construction. I want to wrap with some commentary about the recent entertainment cuts. You may have heard that a few things have been cut. Right now we're looking at Princess Fantasy Fair, the Fantasy Theater. This show has been cut from every day, multiple shows daily, to just 4 days a week. The Royal Theater is open just 4 days a week now for no other reason than to cut costs, to save money. The Avengers Campus, Avengers Assemble, that they do over here at the headquarters building, this show has been cut from 7 days a week to 5 days a week. Again, simply to save on expenses. Why they're doing it now, I don't know, and if it's permanent, I can't say. It could be just a seasonal thing. It could just be for the summer. I know, for example, that Avengers Campus is just an oven. Just like Toontown used to be, Avengers Campus can be an oven. So it could be that these shows during the summer are not well attended. Although I would probably second guess that. This is a popular show. You see people stopping and watching this show all day. Fantasyland Theater, that doesn't make any sense though, because they're covered. It's shaded. It's actually a break from the heat. So this is just pure cost cutting. Meanwhile, Doctor Strange, they have cut this show from 4 or 5 shows daily to 0. They have canceled Doctor Strange completely. The Doctor Strange show is over as of June 30th. What they're going to do in its place, I don't know. I have no idea. Nothing, actually. I should say that. There's nothing that's going to happen here in its place. My best guess is you'll be able to meet Doctor Strange here in this space. Maybe some of the Eternals or something like that. Something that looks about right. But there's no purpose, no use now for the Ancient Sanctum. We are still without a show at the Golden Horseshoe. The Golden Horseshoe is showless. I was going to say soulless. I'm not that far off. The Golden Horseshoe is showless now and for the foreseeable future. There are no plans for shows here at the Golden Horseshoe, a building that is billed as a place for stage shows. It is now vacant. All of this is very upsetting to me. Particularly the Golden Horseshoe. I'm just saying this and I'm going to keep banging this drum, I think, because I feel like it's a shame. But it's not new. This is not a new development. Disney's been killing live entertainment in the parks for as long as I've been covering them, going all the way back to Jedi Training Academy, and there's probably more. But the fact that the Golden Horseshoe has no shows anymore is just bothers me. And I don't like it. I hate it. And I really hope that Disney somehow finds a way to part with the meager cost to have just a piano player up there a few shows a day. Can't even pay out a piano player. I'm pausing for effect here. Disney is listening. If you are a fan of live shows in the parks, you can say something, and they will listen, and it will be acknowledged to some extent. So go ahead and make yourself heard. I'm doing my part here in this video. The Disneyland is not the same without live entertainment, big and small. Not just parades and fireworks and other shows like that, but small shows like this as well. Small shows like the Golden Horseshoe and Avengers Campus. Avengers Campus was billed as a place that is more than just attractions, just like Golden Horseshoe. It's more than just a place to get chicken strips. Avengers Campus is a place to see characters and to see a show, to see something happening as if you're in the environment, and to reduce the entertainment, to reduce the shows that Avengers Assemble, to cut Doctor Strange. It's not okay. So I'm going to put that here in this construction report, and we'll talk about it again in the near future. And as I mentioned, let yourself be heard, Fresh Baked. As for now, that's our show. Check out our most recent updates, guys. We did a couple of videos that are very fun. Our 8 expert tips that'll help you improve your day at the Disney Resort. They're really good tips. You guys, I think it's 4 about mobile order, guys. That's a banger. So check that one out. And then also check out our guide, our review of all of the quick service dining locations in the parks. And then we'll see you next time, guys. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And Fresh Baked.